It does actually in the next story.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
okay.
Let's hear about it. That sounds good.
Let's
Do you
go
wanna
for it.
you wanna just jump right into it?
Yeah, it'd be
Let's do
perfect.
it.
Yeah, this is hilarious. It's like the classic, you watch in movies and or I guess the little guy who's getting picked on by the bully just like tears his shirt off and just goes insane, and it's the bully backs on it. This is really a crazy story, and that's why I submitted for the approval of the Brad Josh Society. I
Yeah.
give you dealing with an apparent psycho just
All
to
right.
just to set you up here. Okay. Okay, again, read in the first person. Seattle, Washington, October 2001. I was outside a Starbucks in a Seattle business district, enjoying a cup of coffee, having a cigarette, and reflecting on my day. And I'm gonna warn you, this is a little bit longer story than the previous ones, but
Okay.
this guy, white, about 6 feet tall, mid to late 40s, wearing dark blue tactical clothing, um, in the line of watch cap, a commando sweater covering what looked like body armor, beady pants, and black boots, approaches me. I looked around, and I did not see a badge, a gun, and the usual cop gear on him, just the SWAT-style clothing and a tall-sized paper cup in hand. The guy did not fit the picture of an officer, though. He looked like he hadn't shaved in days, with his black hair dyed in his face. And he hasn't worked out in years, and his sweater looked old and tattered. I thought maybe he could be private security because 9/11 happened only a month ago and high-rise buildings had beefed up their security. I gave him a nod before he stood in or stopped in front of me. Oh, I'm sorry. I gave him a nod before he stopped in front of the round four-seat metal table separating us at an arm's length. "That's my burrito on the ground," he said. Huh? I was confused. I looked down, and a flock of pigeons were munching or pecking at this Mondo burrito. Taco Del Mar was a few blocks away, just across the street from the Federal Building. "You knocked down my burrito. Give me $10 to buy lunch," he said in a demanding voice. I was shocked, and I refused, so I told him firmly without raising my voice, kind of like in a Dirty Harry sort of way, "What the F are you talking about? I don't need to give you shit. Get the F out of my face." So, I mean, already this guy's got more guts than I do, but
I mean, the first thing I would have thought is, how is it possible that I knocked over a burrito that's already being eaten by the pigeons?
and, okay, it continues. The guy got angry and his face turned red. He sidestepped toward my right flank, and I moved the opposite way to keep him from attacking me. Then he lunged forward and threw the liquid from his cup at my face using a right hook. I ducked down while shielding my face with a left block, grasping the left lapel of my three-quarter length car coat. The cold liquid got all over my clothes and my hair and trickled down my face. I was afraid it might be bleach, acid, or some other chemical. It turned out to be water. Still, he didn't know this at the time, so I can see
Right.
how risky
That's
that would.
pretty great, though. I wouldn't even thought about something like that.
Yeah, or even urine or something disgusting. But
Yeah.
Right.
scared, I had to get out of there quickly, so I looked around me and behind, um, to look for a clear path of exit. I noticed an attractive-looking blonde lady in her late 30s dressed in a brown business suit sitting down at the table behind me, chatting on her cell phone, and also a geeky-looking bespectacled guy with curly black hair wearing the standard black Seattleite corporate attire, which are black chinos and a black North Face jacket with a checkered button-down Gap shirt and black shoes. I can't believe this guy's memory.
I know, it's pretty good.
Tapping on his laptop computer hooked to his cell phone. The lady gave me eye contact, but she didn't seem fazed by what had just happened in front of her, and the nerd with the computer was too concentrated on his work to look past his effing screen. Oh, I hope I've never been that nerd. No reaction from these bystanders. They didn't even budge. They did not stop what they were doing to either get away or to call for help on their cell phones. I left my cell phone at my desk in my office, which took two elevators to get to. To heck with this, I thought to myself. I dashed about 10 yards to the side of the building to get away from the scumbag, frightened for my life. He weighed at least 100 pounds more than I did, and he was a little taller, too. Crap, 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 I thought to myself. I will not die. Not today. Not like this. I'm going to fight back. I don't care if I hurt him, and I might get hurt in the process. So I stopped running and did an about face to square up against this guy. I put up a bladed stance, which this is not implying that he has a knife. He's just standing kind of sideways to this guy.
Yes, I. Mhm.
Yeah. I put up a bladed stance and was at the ready to do some damage. I was prepared to use my body against him, and if I needed to use my ballpoint pen as a stabbing weapon. And then he yells, "I'm gonna rip your effing head off." Then I charge at him while yelling, "Ah!" Like soldiers do in battle. This reminds me of Full Metal Jacket when Hartman demands to see Private Joker's war face.
Oh yeah.
I love that part.
Ah.
That's not a war face. Okay. This had to have attracted attention from the other bystanders, and it got me charged up. It terrified the perp, and his face went from red to white in a nanosecond. He ran the other way like Freddie Flintstone. I've never seen a person carrying all that weight sprint so fast in my life. I stopped running after him after a few seconds. He was already at the next block and kept going further, jaywalking, crossing the do not walk signs, and dodging oncoming traffic. It made no sense for me to catch up to him. I already turned the table against him, and I wasn't hurt, just wet and extremely shaken up. I went back in the Starbucks and noticed all the patrons not drinking their coffee and just staring at me with their mouths open. The entire store was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I asked the barista if she had saw what happened, and she nodded her head, which I took as a yes. I told her to call 911 and report what she'd seen. Afterwards, I walked briskly to my building and saw a building maintenance worker along the way. I asked him if he had also seen what had happened. He too nodded yes, and then pointed to domed cameras on the ceilings. I headed to my office, went in the men's room to clean up, and called 911 from my desk to give them my story. I met with 2 patrol officers about 30 minutes later at the street corner near the scene where I was attacked, and told them what had happened, asked why no one helped me and why no cops were around to stop the situation. One of the cops bluntly stated that cops aren't there to do any proactive policing, they handle crimes after they occur. He also said that I should think about carrying a concealed handgun and start protecting myself. Good advice, thanks for the help, I thought to myself. I could have been seriously hurt out there. So I'm guessing this obviously is far before the guy had begun carrying, yeah. So, yeah, I guess, going back to what Brad was saying, this obviously worked for this guy, just showing resistance. What's your social dynamic take on this, Josh?
Well, I had funny enough, I had a sort of similar situation to this. Not, most of the kind of really funny, I think, are pretty interesting details aren't the same. But I had a guy one time, and there's a section in the book as well about this, and I'm not exactly sure what part it is, but when you notice people crossing the street to follow you, and it was in broad daylight. Oh, was it broad? It was about dusk time, and I'm walking down the street, and he must have been, over about 6'1", 6'2", really tall, broad-shouldered, strong, young, I couldn't imagine this guy being homeless,
Mm-hmm.
and he was gaining on me quick, like real fast, walking behind me, power walking toward me. And I saw him see me, then cross the street. He was going the opposite direction to me. When he passed me on the other side of the street, he crossed the street and then started walking after me. So I knew this guy was up to something. And I was like, all right, well, as he got closer, I kind of felt the same tug where it's like, look, I got to do something because this guy's coming up on my rear and I got nothing right now. Like I'm walking in this direction. I can run, but he's going to chase me. And he's taller and he's got a longer stride than me. And he looks young and athletic. And I was like, there's no way he's trying to bum money off me. He wants to get something from me. He's looking for a victim. And I could tell because the way he approached me, if he was looking for a challenge, he would have called out to me on the way over, to get me to face him. But because he had come up behind me, and because he was trying to sneak up on me, I knew he was looking for a victim. So, and that's a really good skill set to have, to be able to tell when you see somebody like this, whether or not they're going for a victim or a challenge. So I turn around and the same thing. I turn around and I blade stance, hands halfway up, not fists, but I was, kung fu stance. And I turn, the same exact stance this guy was talking about, I'm sure. And I go, what do you want from me? Like, solid, straight up. And the guy was completely shocked. He stopped, and he's like, do you have $1? And I was like, no, I don't have $1. And then he goes, okay. And he turned around and walked the opposite direction.
Wow.
And I was like, I know for a fact that I just diffused that situation, and I was about to get jumped from behind. I knew it. And the same thing here, though. This guy, he kind of took a risk here because this guy's obviously a little bit out of it. The first thing he said was, that's my burrito on the ground. Give me $10. You knocked it off. You know,
Hmm.
that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I can have arguments with this guy all day. Well, then why were you over there? How come your burrito was here? How come the
Yeah.
Christians were already eating it? How is that possible that I didn't see it? You know, like that doesn't make any sense. It's obvious that this guy is delusional. You know, either delusional or is just looking for a fight. You know,
Yeah.
and in that situation, uh, it turned out I guess the guy was delusional because he threw a cup of whatever water in his face and was kind of freaking out. And then as soon as he turned around to fight this guy, he did this battle cry, which in my mind, it almost seems like a movie in my head when I'm thinking about the story, because it seems like it's just so outrageous.
And
But
vivid. The details are so vivid.
oh my God, it's
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. And so things like this really happen, and I think that given the situation, I think that running, the guy chasing you, I mean, I don't really know. He didn't have any weapons at all. I would have found something as a weapon. If he had a table in front of him, I think if you're going to, I think he made the decision to kind of go nuts a little bit late. If he was going to threaten this guy, I probably would have threatened him while I had something between me and him, like the table.
Hmm.
And I would have probably said something like, or picked up a chair and said, "You better get the hell out of here. I'm going to have to hurt you," or call out people, hey, somebody, whatever, and kept the distance between me and him by using the table in that situation. But at the same time, your head's spinning like this, and it's scary, and you're thinking you need to get the hell out of there. Sometimes you don't act immediately like you should, or act like with complete clarity until you realize you are actually in a fight or flight, and you need to do something immediately. Luckily, this guy, I think he probably could have ran to some place that he would have been safe, but at the same time, I mean, on a personal note, you run for something like this, you're probably gonna be running for the rest of your life. So I think that turning around and facing him was a pretty good thing to do. Though I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I would have done the battle cry like he did, but I'm sure he's glad he did it because it got him out of the situation, scared the crap out of the guy.